Hi, I am Osman. I am an energy healer on a master level with telepathic capabilities. I specialize in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, among other host of psychological, physiological, and even spiritual ailments. I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having been practicing uh, this art form for almost 50 years and teaching it for 44 years. And having, during that period, studied very widely among various masters of various schools of thought in this field, and created my own protocol and simplified it to make it more effective and practical for the 21st century, right? So visit my website yogawellness786.com for more information on my services. So the great question of who am I? This is a major question, especially in the yogic science, under the philosophical aspect or the jnana yoga part of yoga, where they delve very deeply into various schools of thought, into defining and the concept of who am I and the construct of each individual entity, and eventually coming to various to conclusions that you are not an individual. The individual consciousness is due to some ego that you have and a mistaken identity. Once you merge with the universal energy or causal energy, um, or in the state of nirvikalpa samadhi, then you shed all everything and you become perfect and one with everything. And that is one aspect as the goal, and which I disagree to that. There's other. This is called the non-dual nature, right? Where you lose, you don't. There's no duality, me, you, and everything else, right? Uh, you are everything, right? And you lose that identity, and you shed your body, you shed your, your astral body, you shed your soul consciousness, and you become one with everything. But the dualistic nature says, no, you are an eternal soul. You are created. There is how can, if you are everything, then you forgot that you are everything and became something, right? How is it? If you are everything originally, right, that is what you are. So you are of supreme consciousness, right? That is your nature. That is your true nature. That is your original nature. That's what you're going to, right? And then, but you drop to individual consciousness. How come? And then you forgot. Right? If I ask you, are you, the tree? No, you're not the tree. You are you, and the tree is the tree. The mountain is the mountain, right? And I am me, and you are you, and everyone else is, each individual, right? That's what you are perceiving, and that's what it is. But this mistaken, I believe, mistaken concept of non-duality, that where you are one with everything, is from the experience of these one of the higher levels of meditation in nirvikalpi samadhi. So samadhi is generally described in two stages: the sabikalpi samadhi, where you are experiencing and witnessing that state of blissfulness and truth, and you can see everything and see all of creation and consciousness, and aware that this is separate from who you are, right? You are. Then you go to the higher level, and then you lose the consciousness in nirvikalpi samadhi, and you don't know, what happened. You only know when you come back, because knowing means you have to be an individual, right? To know. You lose your individuality, mean no more you're going to know, right? And then you come back. So it's like impossible to explain that, because when you shed, your individuality, you're not going to. So when people have that experience, it is a non-dual, experience, where there is no me, you, and everything, and energy is separate, and I am separate, and matter is separate, and there isn't such a thing. And that experience make people to have the misconception that that is the ultimate goal. But from I was fortunate to have very advanced level yoga teachers. They said that is just another level, probably level 2 in the Samadhi levels, right? And there are 100 levels of Samadhi. So what about the other 98 levels that you still have to go and transcend into, right? So that is one argument, right? And he experienced higher levels, right, above this nirvikalpi samadhi state. And I was fortunate, to have met him personally, and learned under him, person to person as well. And the other thing is, um, this question of who am I, that I am not this body, I am not the mind, I am a spirit consciousness, right? This is the other school of thought. And I am consciousness, and I am not the body, and I'm not the mind. Then what do you have the mind for? What do you have the body for? It is part of who you are. You have your body, you have your mind, you have your hands, and have your fingers, and has your hands and legs. When you go into a motor vehicle and you start driving, you no longer need your legs to move you, right? Doesn't mean you must now relinquish your legs. It's part of who you are. It's just that you have extended the power of who you are by purchasing a vehicle and having an additional power to be able to move that much faster. And then you can take your vehicle and park into the airport and hop into an aeroplane, and now you can move that much faster. And from the aeroplane, you can take a flight into Houston and hop into one of the spacecrafts and go into outer space, right? So now that is a much higher, but you still are your body, and your mind is still part of you. Yes, you lose consciousness or you lose awareness of it for a while, but you need to come back to the normal level, right? And uh, your identity is back together again. It's just you went on a trip, like you went on a trip using mushrooms. After it wear off, or LSD, or any of the, or DMT, or any of the psychedelic drugs, when it wore off, did you lose your consciousness and you were lost? No, you came back to your normal consciousness, right? So you came down, you went to a higher experience, like you using VR. So your virtual reality, right? You're going into different realities, but these are not virtual, these are real, higher frequencies, and you can live in multiple levels at the same time, right? You can visit higher and higher. You can, like a television channel, you can change the channels and you can change the frequencies and have, different experiences, but still fundamentally what you are is still what you are, right? This is my opinion, that there's no such thing as you're not the body and not the mind, right? The body is part of who you are, the mind is part of who you are, your ego of I and me is part of who you are. And as you're transcending, you don't need it in certain levels and frequencies, but ultimately you still are who you are, right? So don't go into, I hear, many questions from people who's getting lost in philosophies, especially in the jnana yoga philosophies, but these philosophies go very deep, was created by people who were already on the superconscious level, where they've awakened their full capacity of intelligence, and they created this, and eventually they were able, or could have been able, to come to conclusion, or maybe they got diverted into, wrong conclusions, right? But there are people on higher and higher levels that are not deluded, right, into that. But a person who is still a neophyte, right, he doesn't have this capacity. He's trying to understand, like a 3-year-old trying to understand quantum physics, right? And trying to understand analytical chemistry, trying to understand, organic chemistry, trying to understand, neurobiology. It's not going to be possible. So you are asking these questions on the level that you are studying, written by people on a level where they've awakened probably 80-90% of the capacity, right? But not a fraction of a percentage. And you, on a fraction of a percentage, you're going to go insane, because your current level will not be able to understand and conceive. You need to awaken the capacity and develop the capacity in order to understand these things. But the conclusion, right, me being, practicing for 50 years and fortunate to study and have, various levels of samadhi experiences, and come back to the goal is to come back to normal consciousness. And your body is your body. Is going to always be when you, where, yes, there's going to come a time when you're going to die and relinquish, your body, because it gets old, and that problem still needs to be solved. So we are making headway in science in solving it. Just I think in the turn of the century, the average in the the 20th century, between the, at the beginning of the year 1900, right, the more than 50% of the people died by the age of 30, right? Now the average lifespan for a male is around 78, and a woman is around 81, right? So we've like almost tripled that. And there are many centenarians and studies going into centenarians, and people, going into higher and higher levels, of ages, right? And we are slowly finding, but they becoming very decrepit. But there are some practitioners of hatha yoga. My one teacher, practitioner of hatha yoga, he was around 112 years old, playing football with children. He didn't lose any of his capacity to function as a human, right? He was moving around, fit as a fiddle. And even myself, practicing, hatha yoga, um, and the other yogas as well, from my age of 10 to now, I don't feel any arthritis or, slowness in my body or in my mind or anything. Yes, I've lost my eyesight, but that was due to an adverse reaction to something that, that I was exposed to. And I'm working on a protocol in recovering it, and I am making progress in that avenue. And it's the, the next level or the last level, because even in the Tanaka experiments, the last level, the last thing that you can reverse is the optic nerve damage. If you can, that is the final level, right? So yes, I've managed to solve, even, resolving or helping to get a very high percentage, right? A very high percentage, of recovery and reversal, by adding a few additional therapies to the existing medical therapies, supporting the medical therapies, and recovering and reversing terminal illnesses and critical care recovery together with the medical sciences, right? Not independently, right? So very high success rate, right? Around, well over 90%. My current experience is around 98%, 98 to 99%, right? Is because as time is going, my power, my energies are increasing and powers are increasing. So we're going to resolve. It's going to come to a stage where someone's going to be, a science is going to reach a level that you going to live eternally and be forever young, right? The song Forever Young is possible. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve, right? We just haven't found the way yet. Has there been some people? Yes, there is accounts of Ramalinga Swamigal or Valalar from South India, who attained the deathless body, and he said it is something just due to some problems in the evolutionary cycle, or it got lost along the way, and people, needs to find it again. And he did leave some protocols. And some of his students, one of his students by the name of Tulasi Ram, in the 1980s, wrote a book, Art Peranjodi and the Deathless Body. It's available in Amazon for purchase. And I believe, and I was told that it is also available for free download in script, right? So I don't know, if that is also, but I know in Amazon, you can go and get it and purchase it, right? And you can, study it for yourself. So it is an extensive exposition, and he used it as a submission for his PhD thesis. It's in a scholarly format. So it is a starting point, or one of the points, reference points, that one could use, in establishing, that. But coming back to who am I and what am I, please don't drive yourself insane by going into the Sankhya philosophy, the Advaita philosophy, and Vishtadvaita philosophy, Saiva Siddhanta philosophy. There's so many philosophies and different. You'll go crazy, you'll go insane, you will become abnormal, and you'll get lost because it's going to confound you, right? You can, out of interest, go into it, but remember, maintain your identity. Don't start saying I am not me, I am not it, and I am that, or I am not that, I am it, and all these things. This is foolishness, right? And craziness, right? The people who are advocating it, are people who's lost on a level and confounded on that level and thinking that is the ultimate. No, it's not the ultimate. You're already in the ultimate. You're living the ultimate already. Just that you need to develop your higher levels of consciousness and continue to be, a more productive member, or doing things more creatively and in a more harmonious manner and a happier way, right? So don't despair. You are who you are, right? If you are John, you are John. If you're Osman, you're Osman. If you're Fatima, you're Fatima. If you are, Helen, you are Helen, right? If you are, Ina, you are Ina, right? And every culture, whatever it is, right? And your body, try to find ways to preserve it and take care of it the best you can, and be around when they find the breakthrough, right? Because the breakthrough is very imminent, I believe. Don't pass away before the breakthrough is found. And once you got the breakthrough, then you can reverse age yourself, right? Like how Tanaka already seen the reverse aging from, old age back to young again. And this is possible. It's already proven, right, in mice. So only to prove it in humans, right? So take care, take heed. Don't get confused on who you are. You are who you are, right? And take care of yourself always.